used to crave comfort. Now I crave resistance, because that's where life starts to expand. There was a time when every obstacle felt like an enemy, every setback a punishment, every moment of friction a signal to retreat. I built my world around ease, and in doing so, I built a prison. But something shifted the day I realized. The discomfort I was avoiding wasn't breaking me. It was trying to build me. Every challenge you face is not a barrier. It's a doorway, a test, a question the universe asks, are you ready to become who you're capable of being? This is the story of how I stopped running from difficulty and started running toward it. Because on the other side of fear, there is power. And on the other side of pain, there is freedom. The comfort trap. Let's begin with a truth most won't admit. We are addicted to comfort. Not just physical comfort, though that's part of it, but psychological comfort. The kind that keeps us circling the same routines, the same conversations, the same version of ourselves. Safe, predictable, small. Neuroscience calls this the brain's homeostatic drive. Your nervous system is wired to conserve energy, avoid threat, and maintain equilibrium. In the wild, this kept you alive. In the modern world, it keeps you asleep. Because here's what most people don't realize. Your brain cannot distinguish between a physical threat and a psychological one. When you think about starting that business, having that difficult conversation, or pushing yourself beyond your limits, your amygdala fires the same alarm as if you were being chased by a predator. The ancient circuitry kicks in. Stay still, stay hidden, stay comfortable. And so we do. We scroll instead of create. We numb instead of feel. We consume instead of build. The irony. The very thing we think is protecting us is slowly eroding us. Carl Jung understood this deeply when he said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Comfort doesn't just prevent growth, it invites stagnation. It whispers, "You're fine where you are," and you believe it, until one day you wake up and realize, you've been fine for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to be alive. The comfort trap is seductive because it feels like safety. But safety without growth is just a slower form of dying. Think of it this way. A muscle that is never stressed never strengthens. A mind that is never challenged never expands. A soul that is never tested never discovers its true depth. Comfort is the thief of potential. And the most dangerous part? It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show up as laziness or cowardice. It disguises itself as self-care, as balance, as being realistic. It tells you, don't take that risk. It's not practical. Don't push yourself. You'll burn out. Don't reach too far. You might fail. And so you settle. You adjust your dreams to fit your fears. You call it maturity. But deep down, you're running from the very thing that could transform you. The comfort trap is not about rest. Rest is sacred. Recovery is necessary. The comfort trap is about avoidance. It's the refusal to meet life where it asks something of you. It's the choice to shrink rather than expand. It's the quiet resignation that whispers, "This is just who I am." But here's the truth that changes everything. You are not fixed. You are not a finished product. You are a process, a becoming, a fire that either grows or dims based on what you feed it. And if you've been feeding it comfort, ease, and safety for too long, then it's time to introduce it to resistance. Because resistance is not your enemy. Resistance is the forge. And you are the iron. The reframe. So how do we escape the comfort trap? How do we shift from avoiding discomfort to seeking it? It begins with a single radical reframe. Pain is not punishment. Pain is information. Let me explain. When you encounter resistance, whether it's fear, doubt, frustration, or fatigue, your first instinct is to interpret it as a problem, something to fix, something to eliminate, something that signals you're doing it wrong. But what if that's not true? What if discomfort is actually your system's way of saying, you're about to level up, and I need to recalibrate? This is where cognitive dissonance enters the picture. Cognitive dissonance is the mental tension you feel when your actions contradict your beliefs, or when new information challenges your identity. It's uncomfortable, it's unsettling, and it's necessary. Because dissonance is the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. It's the space where transformation happens. The Stoics understood this intuitively. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacle is not blocking your path. The obstacle is the path. Every challenge you face is an invitation to expand your capacity. Every fear you confront is a chance to reclaim your power. Every moment of discomfort is a signal that you're breaking through an old limitation. But here's the key. You have to reinterpret the signal. Most people experience discomfort and think, something is wrong. But those who grow think, something is happening. This is the shift. This is the rewiring. Carl Jung called it integration, the process of bringing unconscious material into conscious awareness. And it's rarely comfortable, because when you integrate, you're not just learning new skills, you're dissolving old identities. You're shedding the stories that kept you small. You're confronting the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But becoming requires unbecoming. It requires facing the shadow, the disowned, rejected, hidden parts of yourself. And that confrontation? It's not gentle, but it's honest. And honesty is the only path to wholeness. Nietzsche took it even further with his concept of amor fati, love of fate. Not just acceptance, not just tolerance, but love. He wrote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. This is not passive resignation. This is active embrace. It's the ability to look at every hardship, every failure, every setback, and say, this too is part of my becoming. Not because it feels good, but because it means something." When you reframe pain as initiation, when you see resistance as refinement, when you recognize discomfort as the price of expansion, everything changes. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" You stop resisting the struggle and start mining it for wisdom. Because the truth is, every person you admire has faced what you're facing. Every story of greatness is a story of repeated failure. Every hero's journey includes the descent into darkness. The difference is not that they didn't feel fear. The difference is that they didn't let fear define the narrative. They rewrote the script. They turned pain into plot. They transformed suffering into story. And so can you. Loving the climb. Now we arrive at the deeper question. How do you actually learn to love the climb? Because let's be honest, most of us intellectually understand that growth requires discomfort. But understanding it and embodying it are two very different things. This is where neural rewiring comes into play. Your brain operates on a simple principle. What gets rewarded gets repeated. Right now, your dopamine system is trained to reward ease. The scroll, the binge, the distraction, the escape. Your brain has learned comfort, shock to pleasure. But here's the beautiful, terrifying truth. You can retrain it. You can teach your brain to associate challenge with reward. You can condition your nervous system to crave resistance instead of retreat. And the way you do this is through ritual. Ritual is how you make the invisible visible. It's how you take an abstract idea, like a growth mindset, and turn it into a lived experience. Here's how it works. First, recontextualize the struggle. Before you enter a challenging task, whether it's a workout, a difficult conversation, or a creative project, pause. Close your eyes and say to yourself, "This discomfort is my teacher. This resistance is my mentor. This pain is the price of becoming." You're not lying to yourself. You're reframing the experience. Second, visualize the transformation. Don't just imagine the outcome. Imagine the process. See yourself in the struggle. See yourself breathing through the discomfort. See yourself choosing to stay when every instinct says run. And then, this is critical, feel the pride of that choice. Because pride is a powerful reward. When you feel proud of yourself during the struggle, not just after, you're training your brain to associate effort with fulfillment. Third, Create a post-challenge ritual. After you face something hard, don't just move on. Mark it. Journal about it. Reflect on what you learned, how you grew, what you discovered about yourself. This is how you anchor the lesson. This is how you tell your brain, that was valuable, that was meaningful, that was worth repeating. Nietzsche's amor fati is not just a philosophy, it's a practice. It's the daily choice to look at life's difficulties and say, I would not change this. This is exactly what I needed. This is the fire that forges me. And over time, something miraculous happens. You stop tolerating challenges. You start seeking them. Because you've trained your brain to recognize every challenge is a chance to prove something to yourself. Not to the world, not to your critics, to yourself. Every hard conversation is proof you value truth over comfort. Every difficult workout is proof you value strength over ease. Every creative risk is proof you value expression over approval. And each time you prove it, you build self-trust. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence. It's not the belief that you'll succeed. It's the belief that you'll be okay even if you don't. That you'll learn. That you'll adapt. That you'll rise. And when you trust yourself that deeply, fear loses its grip. Because fear only controls you when you believe you can't handle what's on the other side. But once you've climbed enough mountains, once you've faced enough fires, you realize you've been strong all along. The challenges didn't make you strong. They revealed your strength. And now you're not afraid of the climb. You're excited by it. Because you know, on the other side of every mountain is a version of yourself you've never met. A version that's braver, wiser, freer. And that version, it's waiting for you to choose the struggle. Integration practice. So we've talked about reframing. We've talked about rewiring. Now let's talk about integration, how you actually live this. Because transformation without integration is just inspiration. And inspiration fades. What lasts is practice. Here's the truth most self-help content won't tell you. You don't need more information. You need more application. You don't need another podcast, another book, another video. You need a system that turns insight into action. So let me give you one. It's called the Challenge Journal. And it works like this. Daily practice. Morning intention. Every morning, before the day begins, ask yourself, what is one thing I will do today that scares me? Not something reckless, not something stupid, but something that makes you lean forward. Maybe it's sending that message you've been avoiding. Maybe it's starting that project you've been procrastinating on. Maybe it's saying no when you usually say yes. Write it down. Make it specific. Make it non-negotiable. This is your daily challenge. This is how you train courage like a muscle. Midday check-in, reality versus story. When you encounter resistance during the day, when you feel fear, frustration, or fatigue, stop. Write down two things. 1. The story my brain is telling me, e.g., I can't do this, I'm going to fail, this is too hard. 2. The reality of the situation, e.g., I'm learning something new, I haven't failed yet. This is uncomfortable but not dangerous. This practice is shadow work in real time. It exposes the narrative your fear is spinning, and once you see it clearly, it loses power. Because most of your suffering is not the challenge itself, it's the story you tell about the challenge. Change the story, change the experience. Evening reflection, self-awe instead of self-pity. At the end of the day, before sleep, write, today I chose growth when I finish the sentence. Maybe you didn't conquer the mountain. Maybe you just took one step. Celebrate that step. Because self-awe is the antidote to self-pity. Self-pity says, I'm a victim of my circumstances. Self-awe says, I'm the author of my evolution. And every time you choose self-awe over self-pity, you reclaim your agency. You stop being a passenger in your life. You become the driver. Weekly review. The mirror practice. Once a week, look back at your challenge journal. Read what you wrote. Notice the patterns. Ask yourself, what fears came up repeatedly? What did I learn about myself? Where did I surprise myself? Where can I push further next week? This is integration. This is how insight becomes identity, because you're not just collecting experiences. You're constructing a self that is no longer defined by avoidance, but by approach. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The challenge journal makes the unconscious conscious. It brings your patterns, fears, and resistance into the light. And when you see them clearly, you can choose differently. You can stop reacting and start responding. You can stop being controlled by fear and start being guided by vision. This is how you integrate a growth mindset, not by thinking about it, but by living it, one challenge at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time. Until one day you look back and realize you're not the same person anymore. You didn't just survive the climb, you were transformed by it. The alchemy of adversity. There's a hidden layer to loving challenges that most people miss. It's not just about building resilience or developing discipline. It's about alchemy. The ancient alchemists believed they could turn lead into gold. They spent lifetimes in dark chambers, experimenting, failing, searching for the secret formula. Most historians think they failed, but Jung believed they succeeded, just not in the way they expected. He wrote, "The alchemical transformation was never about metal, it was about the soul. The lead was not physical, the lead was suffering. The gold was meaning, and the process of transformation. It required fire." This is the psychological truth hidden in every spiritual tradition. Suffering, when met consciously, becomes sacred. Not because suffering is good, but because how you meet it determines what it makes of you. You can let adversity break you, or you can let it forge you. You can let pain turn you bitter, or you can let it make you wiser. You can let challenges close your heart, or you can let them crack it open. The choice is always yours. But here's what makes this difficult. The transformation only happens when you stop resisting the process. Think about a caterpillar in a cocoon. If you cut open the cocoon to help the butterfly, it dies. Because the struggle to break free is what forces the fluid from its body into its wings. The struggle is not a mistake. The struggle is the mechanism. The same is true for you. Every time you face something hard and choose to stay, something inside you strengthens. Every time you feel like quitting and don't, something inside you awakens. Every time you meet the fire and refuse to run, something inside you transforms. This is why the ancient Greeks didn't just have a word for happiness. They had eudaimonia, a state of flourishing that comes not from ease, but from living virtuously in the face of difficulty. It's not about feeling good all the time. It's about becoming good through the trials. Nietzsche captured this perfectly. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. When you attach meaning to your struggles, when you see them not as random misfortunes but as essential chapters in your becoming, everything shifts. The pain doesn't disappear, but it stops being senseless. And when pain has meaning, it becomes bearable, more than bearable. It becomes transformative. This is the alchemy. You don't just survive the fire. You use the fire to burn away everything that was never really you. The false identities, the inherited beliefs, the borrowed dreams, the protective masks, all of it, into ash. And what remains? Your essence. The part of you that cannot be broken. The part that has always been whole. The part that chose this life. Because on some level, deep down, you didn't come here for comfort. You came here to evolve. You came here to meet the edges of your capacity and then expand them. You came here to discover what you're made of, not through theory, but through trial. And every challenge you face is the universe asking, are you ready to meet the next version of yourself? The answer is not in your words. The answer is in your actions. Do you run? Or do you rise? Do you collapse? Or do you climb? Do you let the fire consume you? Or do you let it refine you? This is the alchemy. This is the sacred work. And it's not something you do once. It's something you choose over and over again. Every day, every moment, every challenge. Until one day you realize You are no longer afraid of the fire, because you have become it. The invitation to mastery. We've arrived at the final truth, the one that ties everything together. Loving challenges is not a destination. It's a way of being. It's not something you achieve and then stop. It's a daily practice, a lifelong commitment, a sacred discipline. And it begins the moment you realize no one is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your partner, not your circumstances. You are the hero of this story. And the quest is not out there, it's inside you. The dragon you must slay is not external. It's the voice that says, you can't. It's the fear that says, you're not enough. It's the doubt that says, why even try? And every time you face a challenge and choose to stay, you strike a blow against that dragon. Every time you do the hard thing when no one's watching, you reclaim a piece of your power. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you step closer to mastery. And mastery is not perfection. Mastery is not the absence of struggle. Mastery is the art of meeting struggle with grace. It's the ability to say, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to try anyway. It's the courage to start before you're ready. It's the wisdom to fail without falling apart. It's the strength to keep going when there's no guarantee of success. This is what separates those who transform from those who stagnate. The stagnant wait for inspiration. The transforming create momentum. The stagnant wait for permission. The transforming grant themselves agency. The stagnant wait for certainty. The transforming embrace the unknown. And here's the secret they discover. The unknown is not your enemy. The unknown is your invitation. An invitation to discover capacities you didn't know you had. An invitation to become someone you couldn't have imagined. An invitation to live fully, not safely. Because safety is overrated. Safety keeps you small. Safety keeps you hidden. Safety keeps you from ever knowing what you're truly capable of. And deep down, you know this. You know that the life you're avoiding, the risky one, the uncertain one, the one that requires everything of you, that's the life you actually want. Not because it's easy, but because it's real. Because it demands something of you. Because it calls forth your greatness. And you've been waiting your whole life for that call. Well, here it is. Not in a burning bush, not in a mystical revelation, but in the everyday challenges you've been avoiding, the conversation you're afraid to have, the project you're afraid to start, the change you're afraid to make. That's the call. And the only question left is, will you answer? Will you step into the arena? Will you choose discomfort over decay? Will you love the climb? Not because it's pleasant, but because it's purposeful. This is the invitation, not to a perfect life, but to a powerful one. Not to certainty, but to courage. Not to comfort, but to becoming. And if you say yes, if you truly commit to this path, you will fail. You will fall. You will doubt. But you will also rise. You will rise stronger, wiser, more whole than you were before. And every time you rise, you prove to yourself, I am not fragile. I am not fixed. I am limitless. This is how you empower yourself to love challenges. Not by pretending they're easy, but by choosing them anyway. Because you understand, each challenge is a mirror of your potential. And when you look into that mirror, you don't see who you are. You see who you're becoming. The fire doesn't ask permission to burn, and neither should you.